So you decided to make the investment and purchase the Property Market Analyzer template. We appreciate your business. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the process from when you purchased it from our website, letspivotsolutions.com, to getting you set up to do your first analysis. So on my screen here, I have the website where you purchased the product from. The first step that you'll need to do once you purchase the product is you'll need to go to the email that you used in the purchase. And I am going to switch over to my email account here to just show you, for example. So I use Gmail. You should expect to receive 3 emails regarding this purchase. The first email will be from Let's Pivot Solutions, and it will say, I'm not sure if they'll come in exactly in this order, but my first email that came in says your Let's Pivot Solutions content. The next one that came in says a shipment from order, whatever your order number, is on the way. And then the third one is going to say that you have been shared a file through Dropbox. It may not always say from Lane Duplichan. I may change that to have it say from Let's Pivot Solutions, but just know that there will be 3 emails that come through. The first one I'm going to open up just to show you is basically your order confirmation. It's just saying that you received an order. You can click on this and it will just show you your receipt from the order. The next one I'm going to look at is your Let's Pivot Solutions content. So what this is digital content that you purchased, and what it is it's basically sending you a PDF of the instructions that you'll need to access the files and to download the videos. Your message may say a little bit something different right here. I think I've changed it a little bit, but overall it's going to look very similar to this, and there will be a button on here where you can click that says access content. When you do that, you'll be redirected back to our Let's Pivot Solutions website. And at the top, you'll see your order number, a description of the product. And if you scroll down, you'll see files. And this is the digital product that you purchased. It's not actually the template. We have links to the template that I'll show you in a minute. This is the instruction file. You can go ahead and click download on that, and it downloads it to my internet browser. I'm using Google Chrome, so it may look a little bit different for you. I'm going to open that PDF up, and you'll see that there's some instructions here. There's also the digital product license on here and our contact information. You can hold on to that, you can save it, or do whatever you need to with that. I'm going to go ahead and close that out and go back to my email. And then I will access the third email, open that up, and this is where the actual template is being saved. Now, just be mindful that when you do purchase the product from our website, we are going in manually and adding you as a user, sharing the file with you through Dropbox. So if you purchase it overnight or while we're not sitting at the computer, there could be a little bit of a delay with us getting this third email to you, but we're trying to stay on top of that as much as possible. We will be entering the email address that you use during checkout to purchase the product. If for some reason that you want to use a different email, maybe you use a different email with your Dropbox that you have right now, just send us an email and let us know that we would need to use a different one. But we are going to assume that the email you use to check out will be the email that you want to use. Here I can see the file, the XLTX is the actual Excel file that you can access, and that will open that in a minute. And then the second file here is the same PDF that you received and we downloaded a minute ago. I just have it saved in here. I may be saving other files in this folder as well, potentially like training videos or other things like this. But this is where you will come to access the template, the most recent copy of the template, and any other files that you may need to help you with the template. So what I'm going to do now is I want to download a copy of this template here. Now you will only have view only access to this template, so you should not be able to modify the template in the main template that everyone's using. You're going to want to download a copy of this template. So you can either click on it and that sidebar opens, or you can do these three dots right here and do download. And similarly to how it downloaded for the PDF, it's going to download it in my internet browser, and I can see here that it is an Excel file. So I'm going to go ahead and open that. When I get it open here, you may see that it's in protected view. That's just how Excel works when you're downloading files. You're going to want to do enable editing at the top just to make sure that you have all the functionality that Excel offers. And that yellow bar should go away once you do that. What I recommend is once you download it, I do recommend you go to File and do a Save As and save a copy of this file to wherever you save your work file for the report that you're working on. I do recommend that you go in and pull a fresh copy of the template each time you work on a report so that number one, you have an empty template, and then number two, we potentially will be making updates and refinements to the template, working out any bugs that we may come across or others may find. So if you want the latest and greatest version of the template, you will want to come here and pull the latest version. If we are making any substantial overhauls to the template, we will be notifying you of those changes. You can also, in the template, you can see there's a change log over here to the right, and we will be recording any changes that are being made to the template. Okay, so now the next step, in order to get things set up, you've got everything open, is to go in and pull your data from your MLS or your data source. So I can't really go through that process because each person's system is a little bit different. What we do is we log into our MLS system and we have a save template that saves the columns every time, and we'll filter based on the criteria for the property. And we are going to be exporting two different files. They can be in Excel or CSV format, and you'll export it to Excel or CSV, and then you'll also have data for your comparables and any listings that you may be using. So when you are going through your data in your MLS system for the first time and setting all of this up, you're going to want to look at the mapping logic that is right here on this instructions and controls page. These are the fields that you're going to need to pull from your system. So most likely they're going to be named different things, but you're going to want to pick these fields and set up a saved template so that you have these in this order as columns across the top of your spreadsheet. If you have questions about what these fields mean or represent, you can reach out to us. We've tried to provide a description over here of what type of data it needs to be. If you do have specific questions about locating these types of fields, you may need to reach out to your MLS service provider or your other data source to get details on how to pull these fields, just because everyone's pulling them from different sources. I'll flip over to a sample set of data that we've pulled from our system here. So here's what the data looks like. You can see that the column headers are across the top and the data is in the rows. So when I want to copy the data, I do not want to pull the headers over to my worksheet. I just want to start with the first record here, and I want to copy and paste all of the rows. So if I highlight all the data there, and there's a couple of different ways that you can copy in Excel. Probably the easiest way is if you highlight all of the cells and you right click on your mouse and you do copy. And then you go back to your template, and I'm going to assume that this is my market comparable data. So I am going to go to this tab, this first tab here in section 2, click in this cell, which is B25, and I am going to right click and either just paste, or what I prefer to do is do a paste values. It maintains the formatting and the data gets populated in there. You can do a quick check to make sure that it looks like all the rows are lining up with the headers appropriately. And you want to make sure that you're not pulling down more than 5,000 records at a time, just because there's limitations within the spreadsheet in order to not affect the efficiency of the spreadsheet. Your data up here, this is where your comps are that you've selected and your subject data. So just for this testing phase, I'm going to just copy a few of these and I'm going to put them up here just so that I can have some data in the template. And I'm going to just type in some dummy data so that I can see something to make sure that everything's lining up appropriately. Okay. Once you put that in, there is a summary up here that tells you how many records are sold date. When I say records, it's the number of properties or the number of listings. Now, the next step that you do is that was the market data, so the smaller narrowed down filtered listings. The neighborhood is the broader set of data. It will be in the same format. It typically is just more data, more listings. So I'm going to come back. I would be exporting another file, but just for purposes of this video, I'm going to use the same one. I'm going to go ahead and copy this again, and I am going to paste the data in so that I have some data there. But the two should not be equal, but just for this purpose, it's okay. So what I want to do is make sure that my data checks that there's no errors. If there's issues with the data, you will see this will show up as it'll say data error and it'll be in red. So that could mean that some of your data is not mapping over correctly, or that some of the data from your MLS system may be incomplete or missing certain fields or things like that. So that's something that we would want to get sorted out from the beginning. If you do see a data error, I would first go back to your data set and just scroll through and make sure that all your data looks consistent. One of the things that we noticed earlier today, this is the current listing price. I believe a realtor had a keying error, which we see this often in our data in our system as well. For the listing price, maybe instead of 215,000, they put 215. So when you're scrolling through and you see something like that stick out like a sore thumb, that's going to give you issues later in your worksheet. So you want to go through and fix some of this data, or potentially throw out data pieces that don't make sense or that have incomplete data. The next thing is you'll just kind of scroll through this and take a look at the charts and graphs. Just make sure that nothing's standing out, making sure that everything looks fairly reasonable, that you don't have a whole lot of outliers in any of the charts. You're just kind of checking it this first time to make sure that you're somewhat reasonable with the data, and then you're familiar with how the worksheet's working. Next, I would go to this market analytics sheet, number 3, and do the same thing. Are there any data errors within this worksheet? I don't see any here. You can click this to open up these rows across the top. You can also click any of these. It expands the rows. We have some of these grouped so that it's just easier to navigate within the worksheet. I'm just going to scroll down and make sure that we're not having any errors, and it looks like everything's lining up okay. I do see with these charts that it does look kind of choppy here, and if I look over here, it's probably because this is monthly data and there just were not any sales during those months. So that's why the trend looks a little crazy for that, but I think it makes sense. This one too, for some reason we had a drop off there. Probably because there were not a lot of sales. I see this is year to date, and I see the next month there was only one sale. So there probably just were no sales during the month of January 2023. Then I'll go to my neighborhood tab. This is where I had pasted the data in as well. And I'll go through the same process of checking the data just to make sure everything looks okay, there's no errors, and work through it. Now, I do see right here in this chart that it looks like there's some NAs, and that means that they're trying to look up something. The formula is trying to look it up, and there's nothing to look up. So in this chart here, this is the comparable neighborhood trends. What it's doing is it's looking up the comparable date, the date that the comparable went under contract, and referencing the period, that same period within your sales data to see how many sales were closed, what the median sold price, average, etc. was. If your data does not go back to that far to January 3rd, 2022, it's going to have trouble. It's not going to have anything to look up against because the data is not going back that far. So what you would need to do is you would need to go and download data that goes further back so that you could get some info for that contract date period. So once you have all of your data set up, you don't have any issues with it, you're ready to go with working on your first report. If you do run into problems with it, before you're ready to work on your first report, I do recommend reaching out to us. If you want to send your sample Excel file over to me, I'll be happy to look at it, let you know if there's an issue with the data within the template, or we've had some situations where certain MLS systems just are their data format or type of data just comes through different than we've had in any other situation. So there may just be a couple tweaks that need to be made to the template so that we can accommodate that type of data, which is a quick fix. Hope this helps. In the next video, I will walk through actually how to look at all the charts, what all the charts are saying, and interpret some of those so that you can have a better sense of what to do with the actual file when you're working on a report. Hope you found this helpful, and please, as always, feel free to reach out. We can be reached at support@letspivotsolutions.com.